Welcome to the third section of our writing boot camp. This section will cover the basics of writing a 5-paragraph essay and your rough draft. Please keep in mind that this is not an in-depth review of writing. It is a method to help you specifically with the OCCT writing test. Please see your teacher for a more in-depth instruction on writing. You should have followed through with the first few sections of this writing boot camp. Step 1 is for you to cub your prompt. If you have not learned this method for properly reading your prompt in order to answer the prompt correctly, please go back and do so. You should have printed off or saved the prompts for exercises. You should have chosen one of those prompts to have cubbed and to have a graphic organizer laid out. If you have not done so, please do that now. Choose the prompt, cub the prompt, and then make your graphic organizer from that cubbed prompt. You will use that information at the end of this lesson to build your outline. Step 2 is to build your graphic organizer. Table and bubble graph organizers are covered in the pre-writing section, section 2. If you have not visited that section yet, please do so. We will be using those graphic organizers with this section. Now, step 3, you're going to be using your graphic organizer to fill in your outline. We've come to this portion of our training. First, what is an outline? An outline is a formal system used to think about and organize your paper. You will take in the information you have from your graphic organizer, and then you're going to fill in your outline from your rough draft. The outline that we're discussing today is based on a 5-paragraph essay. The really great thing about an outline is that you can expand it to write a novel or contract it just to write 1 paragraph. It is what you need it to be. First you cub, then you use the graphic organizer, and then you use your outline. Let's learn some terms first. Grabber sentence. A grabber sentence is a sentence that will grab your reader's attention right off the bat. It hooks your reader into wanting to read more. Then you have a topic or a thesis sentence. This sentence in your introduction will tell your reader the main point of your essay. It will answer the question, what is this essay about? Facts or evidence. A fact is something that is real, that can be written down from your reading of an excerpt or a passage or real life. It's not a made-up thing. It has to be real. Cite. It means to quote something you read. When you cite, you will say exactly where you got it from. Maybe you're going to say the paragraph, maybe you're going to say the sentence number or the line number. If you say exactly what the passage says, then you'll be using quotation marks. If you just summarize it, you will not have to use quotation marks. It is a very good thing for you to use at least one direct quote from your reading that you cite with quotation marks. Transitional sentence. This sentence is either the last sentence in a paragraph or the first sentence in a paragraph. For example, you could use the words first, second, next, also, or finally. 6. Restate. This means to say the same thing in a different way. This means you change the words, but you say the same thing. Did you notice I said the same thing in both of those sentences, but I restated it in different words? All of these terms can be found on PDFs in your bootcamp writing section. Let's look at a simple outline for a 5-paragraph essay. We will be using Roman numerals, and here we have the Roman numeral 1 for our introduction. Our introduction paragraph is going to have the space where you put your grabber sentence, your thesis sentence, and the 3 facts you're going to be exploring in your essay. Roman numeral 2 is paragraph 2. In this paragraph, you will use your strongest fact to support your thesis statement. You will use one piece of evidence here too. That's going to be your strongest piece of evidence you have for your paper. You will have a conclusion sentence that is transitional. Keep in mind what I'm talking about here is more for an informative essay or a essay that is argumentative or an essay that is an opinion based. We're not necessarily talking about a narrative essay right now. Roman numeral 3 is paragraph 3. In this paragraph, you're going to use your second strongest fact to support your thesis statement. You will use one piece of evidence here too. You will have a conclusion sentence that is transitional. Notice that paragraph 2 and 3 have the same basic structure. Roman numeral 4, paragraph 4. Again, it's the same basic structure as paragraph 2 and 3. In this paragraph, you will use your third strongest fact to support your thesis statement. You're going to use one piece of evidence here too. You will have a conclusion sentence that is transitional. So paragraph 2 is your strongest fact. Paragraph 3 is your second strongest fact. And paragraph 4 is your third strongest fact. Roman numeral 5, paragraph 5. This is your conclusion paragraph. You will use a concluding transitional remark, restate your three facts, and restate your thesis in a different way. You will not copy your introduction paragraph, just rephrase it. And that's it. That is a very simple outline for a 5-paragraph essay. Let's break down this just a little more. In your introductory paragraph, let's look at the introductory paragraph definition. Your definition here is that it's the first paragraph of your essay, and it needs to be strong. It needs to include that grabber sentence, the summarization of points covered in your essay, and a thesis sentence. Sometimes you're going to want to edit this paragraph after you've written your entire rough draft to give it a little more zing or make it a little more informative. Go ahead and write it right in the beginning, but then you can come back and edit it later. So the format would have at least 4 sentences in your introductory paragraph. You have your grabber sentence. Then number 2, you'll have a sentence that leads into the next sentence that's going to tell you about the subject of the paper. This is an informative sentence that will build up your thesis topic sentence. Your third sentence is going to be the sentence that's going to summarize your 3 points that you're going to cover. And your last sentence in your introductory paragraph will be your thesis or topic sentence. Let's look at an example introductory paragraph. This is going to be based on the Section 2 video. We had the expository essay prompt, and I used numbers here in red, and that's going to help you to identify the steps that I just outlined above. Number 1, the black ruins of the house smoked while the family stood watching helpless as they saw their whole lives destroyed. This is my grabber sentence. Number 2, before telephones became standard in every home across America, this was the scene that happened much more often than it does today. This is kind of leading me to the subject of the paper. It also ties in my grabber sentence. Number 3, telephones have boosted the economy, made better emergency response, and allowed us to be more mobile. I stated my 3 points I'm going to cover in my essay. 4, the fact is, telephones have made major improvements in our lives. That is my thesis for the paper I'll be writing. You may remember my expository essay prompt was on how telephones have improved our lives. So I've laid out the entire basis for my paper right here in my introductory paragraph. Let's look at the grabber sentence just a little bit more. A grabber sentence or a lead sentence is the first sentence you write for your essay that will capture the reader's attention right off. The first paragraph should make the reader want to continue reading. The first paragraph should tell your reader what your whole essay is about. And we want that grabber sentence to really reach out and grab them. The main 2 things we're going to focus on here on the writing boot camp is using a question and comparison. But there's many types of grabber sentences. There's shocking statements, there's funny grabber sentences, and there's even useful facts that can be used. But questions and comparisons are the main two, again, that we want to focus on here in our writing boot camp. Here is the graphic organizer from section 2, and see how we move the information over to my outline. It's very simple. The title was, How Has the Telephone Made Improvements in Our Life? Notice that's the main thesis of my table, my graphic organizer, and there it is, main thesis. The telephone has made major improvements in our lives. I have my points, my 3 points. Point 1, made more jobs. Point 1 here, it made more jobs. Number 2, faster emergency response. Point 2, faster emergency response. And then I move point 3 to point 3. We can be made more mobile. Notice I have my evidence. For number 1, made more jobs. Paragraph 4, line 2, the telephone companies employ a certain number of people. I move those over here under Roman numeral 2 for point 1, employ more people, and then I showed that I want to use my evidence from telephones yesterday. Remember, this is the article I read, and this is the evidence I pulled from there. It's very simple to move this evidence to this outline. And the paper is almost written itself at this point. Once the outline has been filled out, you'll begin to write your rough draft. What's a rough draft? A rough draft is the first copy you will write of your essay. This can be messy and you can be editing this copy. You don't have to make it neat and clean. You will write up your rough draft using your outline, and then when you go to edit the paper, you'll be adding a variety of elements to make that paper better. Those elements and editing are covered in the next section. Please use all of the resources attached to this section for more detail and for reference for later use. You can use the prompts for essay to write your outline now. Thank you for being a part of this section.